Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hinterland's One Shot. I don't know the number because we haven't recorded in over 2 months. Welcome back.
Than that.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our audience of none, because people are gone because we haven't recorded in a long, long time.
I thought you just checked our numbers the other day.
That's true. We had a few downloads just this week. I'm don't know why. It's amazing.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, even though we're absent.
There's a good reason we've been absent.
We're announcing that?
No, I'm just saying there's a good reason.
Well, now they probably know anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a good reason. But yes, we've been absent, but we're not dead. We're still alive, and we're still in abject misery over the state of the world.
Yeah, COVID has not wiped out Alaska, even though our stupid local assembly seems to think it's going to.
COVID has barely touched anyone in Alaska.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got... How many people are in Alaska? I haven't looked at the population in a while.
I don't know, but in our own town, they're freaking out over like 19 people out of 30,000 who tested positive. And that's not even showing symptoms.
They have like 1 or 2 people at the ICU. 1 or 2.
And they're not even necessarily COVID patients.
Out of 30,000 people.
And when the numbers came out just recently, it showed number of deaths, 1. You zoom in, there's an asterisk, and it says, died outside of Alaska. And you come to find out, I believe the person was one of those people who had lots and lots and lots of health problems.
Yeah, they're like 65 and they weigh 400 pounds and they have heart palpitations and type 2 diabetes and all these problems.
Not to say that makes it any better, just to say our local government is being tyrannical. We have a mask mandate, which has been a problem for you, just recently became a problem for me.
Oh yeah, well, I have to go out all the time.
Yeah.
I have a job that brings me all over town, so I have to wear my mask because I'm indoors and blah blah blah.
So they put that in place for 90 days, and then they just recently held another meeting and they took no public comment. Like, they claimed, oh, we don't have any comments on that. But I know for a fact there were people trying to send them messages and trying to call in, and they couldn't get through.
That's messed up.
And some people got dropped. And plenty of people sent in letters, and one person on the assembly that I actually used to work with just sends back the snarkiest, rudest replies. And they don't care. They really don't care. They approved a 3-month renewal of the mask mandate.
Right.
Unanimously.
90 more days of if you don't wear a mask inside and somebody is being a real jerk and decides to call the cops on you and get your name or whatever, then there's the possibility of like a $25 fine or something stupid.
Something stupid.
It's outrageous. I am all for a business saying you can't come in here without a mask. Like, that's your business. There's 4 grocery stores in town. I'll go to a different one. But I'm not all for the city itself saying everyone in town has to wear a mask inside a public space. Like, let owners make their own decisions. You know, you own a mall that's your space, then you make a decision for your space. Like, if you own your home and you want someone to wear a mask in it, then you make that decision. It's a similar situation, but not a city assembly forcing the whole population. What a stupid thing to do. And meanwhile, Florida is completely unlocked now. Did you see that? Yeah. Florida's pretty much done. They're done doing... They're like, all the businesses are open. Nobody has to wear a mask. Well, just do what you want now.
There's probably some small communities in Florida that are going to say,
the city
you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yep.
And if that is what our governor decides to do, you can guarantee our assembly is going to pitch a fit about it.
Well, what's nice in Florida is that your city assembly does something. It's a 20-minute drive to any other city or town. The town next door probably doesn't have it. We can't do that here. Yeah, well, the town next door doesn't exist. The road goes nowhere.
I was going to say, I don't entirely disagree with you. I mean, we've always said whatever business owners want to do, but at this point, I don't know if I feel that way because every single business in town doesn't want to tick off the people who are so freaked out that they're putting mask mandate on the door.
Well, I kind of view it the same way I view... So, our town also has a non-smoking... Right?
I think the entirety of Alaska is non-smoking.
No. Ketchikan You can still smoke in the bars.
Oh, okay.
At least you could a few years ago.
Okay, well, here...
Anyway, in town here, there's a non-smoking indoors rule. You can't smoke inside. Mm-hmm. Citywide. And that's messed up to me, because what if you don't like the smoke inside, then go to the bar that says you can't smoke inside. And the bar that says you can will attract all the customers who want to smoke inside. And it's just capitalism working the way it ought to. If you don't like it, don't go there. Go to the other guy who allows it.
Yes.
Or doesn't allow it.
But the problem is, with every single business saying you have to wear a mask, it doesn't matter that, even though the mandate does make it clear, if you can't wear a mask, or you can't keep a mask on your 2-year-old. It's 2 years old. They want you to put a mask on anyone over the age of 2.
Yeah.
Then you can't. And they also said, do not harass people who are not wearing masks. They say that in the mandate.
Yeah. I
But
should just
people
print
are
out the
anyway.
mandate and keep it in my pocket.
Yeah, but people are anyway. And I had to go somewhere recently to the chiropractor. I made them well aware of the reasons I could not wear a mask.
And
on
they didn't
the phone.
care.
They didn't care.
Yep.
I reminded them that this is not a law.
Which is extra messed up because it's kind of a doctor's office.
Yeah.
They ought to care about a physical problem that inhibits you from wearing a mask.
And it wasn't news to them, But they got there and they gave me this mask that reeked like a bounce sheet. And even before all this...
I'm surprised they gave you one of those. Most people just have the plastic disposable ones that don't smell like anything.
No, she pulled out of a little Ziploc baggie. And
weird.
I guess she must just be laundering it and bringing it back for people who don't have masks, which on the surface sounds nice.
Most places have those disposable hospital ones that are just plastic wrapped.
Except, like I say, it smelled like a bounce sheet. It's this close to my nose, and I have a problem with really strong scents anyway, so I was gagging. I ripped it off and I went out in the hall until it was time for my appointment, and then I still had to stand there and suffer for 5 minutes.
Okay. Take a breath.
I'm just saying.
I know it was traumatic.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, it's medical discrimination at this point.
I disagree with you on whether it should just... I think it should just be the owner's thing. You know why? Because I was just in a super liberal town yesterday. Mm-hmm. And there's a grocery store there that doesn't require it. And a bunch of people are hanging around without masks. The whole state is freaking out about COVID still, but I went to I went into a bank. None of the tellers had them on. You know what I mean? And that's the business's prerogative. But there's a grocery store and the Walmart.
That's nice.
They both require it, but I'm not going to either of those places, and I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah. And it was that simple for me.
But we don't have the mom and pop grocery stores here.
Sure we do.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we have 2. We have 2 that are like locally owned. We have 2 that aren't. They're national chains, but we have 2 that are like local grocery stores. We have 4 if you include the little dinky ones.
Well, the problem I see is that people are so freaked out, thanks to the assembly and the media, that they're going to tell people to wear masks no matter what. And when the mandate first passed, there was, it may have been so long ago that I might have mentioned it in our last podcast, but there was a woman who tried going in, and she had an employee physically stop her, put their hands on her, and say, "You tell me why you can't wear one." And another employee had to come and say, "You can't ask her that." And that's the problem is there are people who really, really cannot wear masks, or they will have a problem. But people don't believe that. And there was that video that came out of the mother of the soccer game, who was way far away from every other family, and sitting with her own family, who I believe they were all wearing masks.
Outside.
Yeah, outside.
That's
the soccer players aren't wearing masks.
Yeah.
But everybody else is sitting on their fat rear ends watching her get harassed and tased and physically assaulted by this giant black guy. If she had been a black woman and that had been a white dude, everybody would be screaming and hollering.
Yeah, they would have lit that bleacher on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I'm bad.
There's so many comments I saw from lefty Twitter threads saying, just wear the dumb mask. It's not that hard. It's literally the least you can do. Yeah. There's no reason not to wear a mask. And somebody said, no, she has asthma. My wife has asthma. You cannot wear a mask. You will have a problem. Like, Actually, if you have asthma, then the mask will filter the particles out, so then should be a lot easier.
Yes, because people with asthma have been wearing masks the whole time. For years, people with asthma, they just walk around with masks. Har, har, har. If that were true, they'd all wear masks, and they don't. Asthmatics can't wear masks. That's crazy. Okay, let's move on. Let's not rant.
Okay.
We've already done that. We started the whole episode with a rant. We haven't even done a podcast in forever. And here we are ranting.
Well,
our poor audience. They're so assaulted by our voices right now.
Well, that's what's been happening.
That's what's happening with you, because you're so angry.
No, that's what's happening in the world.
You're so angry. Well, let's just move to Florida. They don't have a mask mandate.
Well, everybody knows the masks are a big joke, and they don't work at this point. But some people are just so freaked out that they will wear it probably till their dying day. Even, hey, COVID's cured. Don't worry. Don't need to wear it anymore. Get your shot.
Watch how many people go get that shot and then keep wearing a mask.
Oh, I bet you they will.
They're so programmed.
I bet after this, there are a lot of people who are going to be wearing it for the yearly flu now.
I saw a guy. I flew in a plane with a guy who had 2 masks on.
Ugh.
He had one on top of another. I don't know how he didn't just pass out from oxygen deprivation.
Oh, I told you about my sister going to a store up north and how she walked by like the cloth cutting counter and she heard this woman saying, "Oh, I have a mask, but I can't wear it." And the employee scowled, already wearing a mask, pulled out another mask and intentionally just put it over the other mask like, "How dare you infect me with your blood?"
Well, if my mask protects you, you're dead. That's it. You're just gonna die. Because I'm not wearing one. Okay, moving on. The West Coast is on fire. The whole thing. Mm-hmm. There's just fire everywhere. This is interesting from a more of a truthful, objective truth point of view, because if you overlay state highway maps over the pattern where the fires start, they all line up with roadways.
Well, they don't want to go hiking. They're lazy.
Right. But they say they're natural. That was the narrative for a long time. Oh, these are natural fires. But, like, there's videos of people lighting bushes on fire, and there's videos of people
saying they ran out of their house to see someone trying to light something on fire.
Yeah. There's wild accounts of people just setting fires, and this must be in my conspiracy-minded brain, this must just be an order that came down from the bigwigs that want to sow discontent and chaos in the world. Go light fires. Like, that was the rule. Go light fires. Start fires. But I just saw a bunch of photos earlier today of houses burnt with, like, surrounded by trees that aren't burned. Have you seen those photos?
I saw them, but I didn't zoom in.
There's so many. And it's like these big old houses completely burnt to cinders. Totally lost. Big old oak trees all around them, all leafy and green. They're not singed or anything. They're not burnt. Yeah, tinder dry forests are burning, sure. But, so a lot of the conspiracy people are thinking these are like directed energy weapons that are catching houses on fire, you know, to devalue land on purpose or whatever.
Or some people are seeing an opportunity for an insurance payout.
That, I don't know, that's an awful lot of people then. Most people aren't just willing to torch their home.
Well, I'm surprised that the Hollywood pedos aren't doing that, you know.
Torching their own homes.
Yeah, get a payout before you flee the country.
Yeah, get a payout and then leave to Greece. Tom Hanks.
Although, you know, apparently, what's that effeminate guy married to the Bratz doll?
Oh, John Legend?
Yeah. Apparently,
I can't believe I got that out of your description. That's amazing.
Apparently, they're saying they need to flee the country if Trump wins again.
She does look just like a Bratz doll, doesn't she?
It's like somebody inflated her face.
It's like they modeled Bratz dolls after her.
Ugh.
So bad.
I'm not convinced that's actually a woman.
Do you think it's a Bratz doll? Maybe it's some sort of automaton,
Maybe.
like an android. Chrissy Teigen, that's who we're talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
But I just wanted.
I'm ashamed to say I know her name. I really should.
It's because she showed up in the news with her creepy tweets that she deleted.
Yes, she thinks toddlers are sexy.
Ugh.
How about that? It's quite gross. Wow, we digressed. Option 3. We're going to blast through this because it's late and we want to go to bed, but we got to get an episode out. We finally finally are in a place mentally and physically where we can do an episode.
Well, we're gonna
It's 10 p.m.
keep taking little off-roads because it's been so long. So much has happened.
Well, I know, but we have our syllabus and we're going to stick to it and then we're going to cut it off. We're already 15 minutes in, kind of. Number 3. The reaction to RGB's death, or BG's death, pardon me. RGB, red, green, blue. That's the designation for LCD screens, CRT screens, RGB output.
I just call her Ginsburg. I get so tired of people.
Ruth Vader Ginsburg.
Ugh. I am not convinced she's been alive for a long time.
That's been floated. In fact, I'm pretty sure that photo of her at the wedding that was allegedly taken earlier this year, that's totally fake. It doesn't look real. It looks quite weird. Yeah, people are weird about her. She had this weird cult following, and it's...
People think that everything they love about leftist culture is just going to vanish now that she's not in the court anymore.
I agree that it's a really sad state. It's a sad state that the country is in when people react like that to a Supreme Court justice. We shouldn't even know their names. You know what I mean?
We should know their names.
Yeah, but we shouldn't idolize them. They shouldn't be celebrities. It shouldn't be that big of a deal when one of them dies. You know? I agree that our justice system must be busted somehow if they're elevated to that sort of status.
Well, she is, because she was a very evil woman.
That's true.
When we have articles from women saying the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg has made me become a Satanist, then that really does tell you.
That just means that person had proclivities towards Satanism to begin with.
Oh, they claim they didn't.
Yeah.
They claim they're a soccer mom with a full-time job, blah, 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 blah.
You read it? I didn't read it.
Oh, I just read the top. But, it really is showing you what's happened. When the Satanic Temple is raffling off abortions and women are dressing up as, their, the word genitals. When women are dressing up as their genitals, it's very late, my brain is starting to go. It shows you where the country's at, and I think we're taking a very steep dive this year.
I think the dive's always been there. It's just more apparent.
I was going to mention this to you the other day, and I forgot to. It feels like, because everybody's like, okay, what's happening next? Are aliens coming next? It's kind of become a big joke, but I really do feel like every time something happens in the news, something else immediately follows it up
100%.
To distract you. And I was thinking, how long have they been preparing us for this? Considering this is the generation that is on attention deficit meds. Mm-hmm. We've been raised with flashier and flashier movies with shorter and simpler storylines. The books have been dumbed down, the TV shows are dumbed down, things are, we got TikTok, we got things that are fed so fast that you can't get bored. And that's what this year's felt like to me, is that we're fed, before you can get bored, something else comes along.
That's a really good point. I never thought of that, but It's true. It's true. The news cycle works just like a social media. It's just like scrolling through Twitch.
Yeah.
Or Twitter. It's just like scrolling through Twitter. You just keep going, and there's little snippets of text, and you read it, and you're mildly interested for a moment, and then you immediately move your thumb onto the next thing. That's how the news cycle works. Because it's like, oh, a black man is killed by a white man. Let's burn the city down. Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead. Let's all mourn. Oh, the fires. The West Coast is on fire. And they just go on and on. It just keeps changing. Yeah, so they must have...
Before you get too focused on any one thing and can maybe look at it too closely, something else comes along.
Yeah, because they don't want the truth to actually come out. Mm-hmm. Most of it's fabricated. Most of it is spun so hard that the truth isn't even there. They're not even presenting part of it a lot of the time. Sometimes, sure, it's impossible to separate the two, but if they do have some truth, it's only a half-truth. They never give you objective truth anymore, but they don't want you to think too hard about it before they slap you with another shocking thing, so you forget about the last thing.
Yeah,
it makes me wonder how long they've been doing that. Because I don't know. I'm not that old. I didn't watch the news when I was young. Grew up in the woods, for crying out loud.
I don't know.
It makes you wonder how long that cycle has been that way. And I wonder, now that you've turned my brain towards the idea, I wonder if social media took the idea from the news. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
They just shortened it up even quicker.
I feel like, because we've been paying attention to the news more and more over the years,
Yeah.
and I feel like I really, really started paying closer attention during the 2016 election, and it wasn't like this.
Yeah.
This year has taken it to a new level, and, what better way to keep the young, dumb populace busy while they're out of school? They've been pounding it in their heads from daycare through, grade school into college that these are the things wrong with the world and these are the people who are guilty of making it that way. And now they've set them loose.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned books and movies because I'm reading a book now where I must be getting stupider. I'm getting more dumb by the current media and the social media and the way movies are made and TV shows are made now.
Yeah,
I'm getting more stupid
to read harder books
because
year.
I'm reading one now that came out. I'm not sure how old it is. I'm not going to look it up now. It's pretty old. It's an aged science fiction, like a classic science fiction. And I get to these pages where the whole page is one paragraph. And I just think, oh, it's going to kind of drone on this page. But I shouldn't think that way. I should just read the stupid page. Mm-hmm. Like, what's wrong with me? But in the back of my mind, deep in my mind, I'm thinking, sigh. This is so slog-worthy. But that's how books are written, Like, that's how you ought to read. Because it's more...
It really depends.
Detailed, nuanced information that you're receiving rather than these little snippets that are just like exciting moments jumping from one to the other.
It depends on the book, though. It depends on the seriousness of the book. Because, you break things up into smaller paragraphs depending on how it's meant to be read. For my children's stories, I make a lot of small paragraphs because it's meant to be read aloud.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier to get tone.
Well, this one is very theology heavy, so that's... Well, there you go. That explains it.
Yeah, I'm reading C.S. Lewis. I picked it back up the other day, and I started to wonder, maybe I should start this over again, because I'm completely lost.
Yeah, that one, you're reading Mere Christianity?
No, Reflections on the Psalms.
Oh, yeah, well, that's kind of snippet-based anyway, because it's just commentary on the Psalms.
Yeah, so it was very easy for my brain to start wandering.
Yeah, the Mere Christianity, it helps to blast through it, because then you get the whole picture sooner. Mm-hmm. If you can. C.S. Lewis reads fast. Anyway, we digress. Movies now, they just pack so many random encounters and movements of the plot into a singular 2-hour movie that it just kind of boggles your brain and makes for a bad story pretty often.
Well...
I'm thinking of Star Wars, specifically. There's so many different locations and people and things going on. It's like... Let's simplify and concisify, if that's a word. I don't think it's a word.
No.
Let's make it shorter and more simple, and then it will be a better movie because your story will be more poignant, instead of just making sure your attention deficit audience gets their dopamine hit every couple of seconds,
Well, that's the thing. I think I've mentioned before on here that I can't think of any movies that have come out the last few years that I actually like.
Blade Runner 2049. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I maintain it was unnecessary to make.
Yeah, but it's incredible. All movies are unnecessary to make if you really want to break it down that way.
I think they should have made a completely new story set in that...
The same universe.
Yeah, but...
I'm pretty excited about the new Dune remake. That looks really good.
If you want to... get into
Logan is super good. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
I was about to say that for the audience, if you want to see some really bad movies made recently, torn to shreds just for your own personal enjoyment, we like watching Critical Drinker.
Yeah, the Critical Drinker. It's a great show.
Who's the other guy? Phil Mento? Is that his name?
Phil Mento's good too. Yeah, he breaks down movies. Those are our two movie review YouTube channels we watch pretty frequently.
Yeah, but don't watch Critical Drinker with children nearby.
And if you want to hear a whole podcast of us dissecting stories, go to Hinterland Story Hour. That's my self-plug. There's only 5 episodes. We haven't posted anything in forever,
Yeah.
but we will. Moving on. I wrote, is 2023 the rapture? You never watched that video, did you?
What video?
This crazy prophecy video that I told you about that you never watched.
You never sent me a link.
I know, shame on me. I watched it twice because I showed people in Catch Game last month. So basically, there's this prophecy that happens in the very first word of the Bible.
Okay,
right?
You did mention this, but I don't remember anything about it.
So there's this verse in Isaiah that talks about how God has something about how he has spoken of the end from the beginning or something like that. It's heavily paraphrased, but that's the gist. And so if you look at that, and then you go back to the very beginning of the Bible, and you look at the Hebrew word and the very first word of the Bible, you can break that down letter for letter and get this huge prophecy out of it that, when taken to its extent, will tell you when the rapture is. It's in 2023. That's when the saints will join Jesus in the air. Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah, sure.
It's pretty crazy. We should watch a video. It's called the Berisheet prophecy. Berisheet. I think that's the word. Berisheet. Anyway, pretty fascinating. Look up, anybody listening who wants to know what video that is, look up Rock Island Books on YouTube. And they've got one that talks about, is the end of the world told in the first word of the Bible, or something to that effect. You'll find
should just link it in the description.
I will link it in the description. We can do that. So that's just a snippet about that. That's just about our whole episode. I wanted a short one. I just want to say hey and talk about very current stuff. So we did. And it looks like our baby's about to wake up, so I'm afraid to keep talking too much, because then we're going to get whans in our audios.
I'm not sure there's anything else to talk about. I mean, we could go on for quite a while.
We could ramble forever because it's been so long since we've done a podcast, but hopefully this will be our start for the next chunk of podcasts that we make. We'll try and make one next week. I'll be out of town a bit next week, but we'll get it done.
We're probably going to do short ones for a while.
Yeah, they'll be sporadic and short, but we'll write some topics down, and a little 30-minute snippet for the audience is not bad. Something for people to listen to. We'll work our way back up to our hour and 10-minute slogs. We've only had one or two that long. Usually we would hit over 40 minutes and under an hour. So look forward to more content from us, and that's the end of the show.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Find us on Twitter. That's our primary spot. Hinterlands Feed. Look up Hinterlands Feed. You can find us on all your podcasts.
We're on YouTube.
Jazz. Yeah, we're even on YouTube. Hinterlands Media on YouTube. Just look up Hinterlands Media on any podcast thing. We do Google, we do Spotify, we do it's all there. All there. So check us out. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.